Just a few weeks ago, I read about the 6 perfections of Buddhism in the book Buddhism and Psychotherapy. And I covered all of those 6 perfections in my latest video. And in that video, I also said that I wanted to dedicate one video to each of those 6 perfections of these six qualities that are very much aspire to be embodied in Buddhism. And I initially didn't really plan to talk about the current state of affairs, but just today before I sat down to make this video, when I was actually in the supermarket buying some flowers, I just felt like it was rather appropriate to talk about the current state of affairs. And by those, I mean the current invasion from Russia into Ukraine. And now, how is this all related to the topic of generosity? And just before I made this video, or in the last few days, I was sometimes a little bit just questioning generosity, or thinking about generosity. Like, what is it even? Like, it's such a big word, and we kind of all understand it. Like, it's something that's good, maybe something that's associated with giving to other people. But what is it? And just to talk about Buddhism for a second, I would say the whole point of Buddhism is to alleviate suffering from human beings, and even from all of the beings in the universe, in the cosmos. And so, how do we go about it? How do we become generous? And from my own observations, generosity is being cultivated, or we actually act in a generous way, in a way that supports other beings, that supports our environment, in a way that is beneficial, that is creating a positive impact by loosening the identification with ourselves. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we all have this thing that we refer to as our ego. And for me, it's always a little bit tricky, because like, what's even saying I have ego? Because in the end, maybe we are not even more than an ego, or on some level, there's just the ego. Maybe the human mind is really just the ego, and maybe there's something more. But in the way I refer to the ego, or we mostly refer to the ego, is to all of those imprinted reactions that are in our minds, in all of those very strong identifications with our body, with where we are from, who we are. Like, this ego is just this thick summary, this thick composition of all of those clinging, of attachments, of I am this way, and I only want to be this way. I need this for myself. I need money. I need to protect myself. I need to protect my country. I am German. That's the way to be. And I need to protect what it means to be German. And when we relate this to the current affairs, when we relate this to Russia, and especially Putin, then we can see this clinging, this attachment, this huge ego, this huge projection and identification with being Russian. And I mostly talk about Putin, like I don't want to make any allegations to the people of Russia. But what we can see in Putin is this very traditional mindset, this mindset of Russia, like we see also in Trump in a very intense way. And he also has a very huge ego, maybe the biggest of all egos, as you would say. But we can see this really intense for so much energy going into this thought of, oh, Russia needs to be great, Russia needs to be powerful, and it's so closed. Like, we all live on this earth, but then why would you put so much energy into the identification with your country and only caring about the people in your country and just invading other people's spaces? And I read a book also after the book of Buddhism psychotherapy, and this book is particularly about the 6 perfections of Buddhism, and it's from Geshe, Sonam, Rinchen. Probably didn't pronounce this correctly, but in this book I want to read a little part of it that really illustrates what I'm trying to say. Attachment to dwellings, places, and countries causes conflict. No matter how hard we clinch and try to resist change, we cannot hold on to them because it is in their nature to be unstable. Which is kind of alluding to this concept of non-permanence, of impermanence. Everything's constantly changing and evolving. And if you cling to your identity, to I am this way, then how will you be able to evolve and change and transform and transcend, to live, basically? Our body, possessions, and dwelling places are ungrateful, for despite our efforts to care for them, they automatically disintegrate and must be relinquished in the end. Ridding ourselves of clinging to them is the best way to decrease anxiety and tension and to prolong our life. And another quote I want to read from this book, I think it's like so accurate to all of the current state of affairs, to climate change, to protecting wildlife, to wars, to all of the identities that we clinch to in order to fight each other. Quote, giving protection includes helping those oppressed by despotic rulers, governments or criminals, those who have been attacked or are threatened by wild animals themselves, and wild animals themselves who belong to endangered species, and all who are at peril from the elements. For instance, those caught in floods or fires. We may not be able to do anything on a very grand scale personally, but we can be active in our contribution to organizations which have the expertise to help. And I think when we talk about benefiting ourselves, and when we talk about benefiting other beings, the environment, the planet, then it always all comes down to recognizing that there's more to life than just our individual identity. To recognizing that we are just a small part in something that's much larger. To recognizing that there's a world, there's a life that we are a part of and not apart from, and that we are not separate from that. And through this realization, through the cultivation of this realization, we will kind of naturally act in accordance with the harmony of our surroundings and not just randomly invade other countries and create war and havoc and suffering and pain for basically not any really good reasons at all. So this is my video about the first of the 6 perfections of Buddhism, and they all interact with each other. They are all kind of necessary in order to really achieve harmony, because you also need effort and a really meditative practice, which is the practice of loosening your ego, of softening your ego. And of course, you also need wisdom and endurance to really make the right decisions and so on. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I hope the crisis in the Ukraine gets resolved as fast as possible. I hope that all the people there are safe. And yeah, I hope that we can all live together peacefully instead of attacking each other and making each other's lives harder than they need to be. So thank you for watching and see you soon.